Hello everyone. Today is going to be a short video on how to change the blade on this small cordless circular saw. This process to change this blade is going to be very similar whether you're using this small cordless saw or if you're using this larger corded power saw. I'm going to use this because it's much easier for me to work with. So of course the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the battery out and set that aside. And then on this saw, and on a lot of saws, they have the tool that you need to loosen the nut to change the blade right, located right on the saw. And in this case, it is right here in the handle. So I'm just going to simply pull this straight out, and I have the hex key that's going to fit into this nut that allows me to loosen this blade and then put in a new one. So I'm going to show you something though, because this throws people for a loop. When I put this in here and I try to spin it, the blade spins. So I need to hold the blade still so that I can turn this nut to loosen it to get my blade off. Well, there is actually a button here. And it's right behind this where the blade sits. And here it's nice and bright and yellow, so that's nice. So when I press this button and I put my tool in here to turn the nut, now it's a blade stop. So I press that in and it stops the blade from spinning. The other thing I want to show you is on this washer that's underneath the nut, you'll notice, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, I will hold it as closely as I can to the camera, but right here it says to tighten, you want to spin in this direction. And so to loosen, we're going to go in the opposite direction. Now, we have all been told righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, or if you haven't, it's always a handy way to remember which way a screw turns in order to tighten or loosen. However, that's not true in this case. This is what's called a left-handed thread, meaning you actually have to turn it. Instead of to loosen, we would typically go to the left. In this case, we are going to the right. So instead of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, I'm going to go to the right. And it's going to loosen this nut. And I still have that button pressed. So I'm going to loosen this nut. Until it comes off. Then there's a washer on here. Now I can let go of the... I'm going to move my blade guard out of the way. Then I can pull the blade out. So now I've removed the blade. I want to show you something though before we go any further. There is a washer underneath here too. So sometimes these fall off and then you're wondering what's the correct orientation to put it back together. Well, if you put it back together incorrectly, this nut won't tighten. So that's sort of a way to foolproof the process. But in this case, this shape, this smaller part fits down into that blade, so the wider flange part is up. Now I'm going to get a new blade to put in, and if you remember from my bits and pieces of a circular saw video, when we put this blade back into the saw, I need to remember that my teeth need to point towards the bottom of the base plate. So I'm going to, trying to do this a little bit blind. So I'm going to slide this back in here and secure it on that little boss there. Then I can let my safety back. Now I need to put that washer back on. I need to press this button, remember, to keep my blade from spinning. And then when I put that screw back in there, what am I doing? Instead of righty-tighty, which is what I'm going to want to do, I'm actually going to turn it to the left or counterclockwise to tighten, which is not what we're used to. So I'm going to get that nice and tightened down. I'm still holding that to keep my blade from spinning. And then I can let that button go. And my blade is oriented properly with the teeth pointing towards the bottom of the sill plate. So that's how to change the blade on a circular saw. I'm going to return the tool back to its little storage slot, which is a handy thing to do. That way you don't lose it. And now we are ready to cut. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.